Welcome back to It Was Never a Phase Cards, and today we have a great video for you guys. We're starting off with some stuff that you guys should really be avoiding. There's some absolute craziness happening on the market, or maybe actually you should be doing it, but you should be on the other end. You'll have to let me know in the comments. And then we're going to talk about some chase cards that have been dropping, but now they're finally starting to see some big gains. And then make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end, because there's a little bit of a pickup play that I think is a really good opportunity right now. So make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications on, because I do post every single day. But this is what we need to talk about out the gate. Is some of these cards, these PSA 10 prices, have been selling for absurd amounts. And this is where I said you should be avoiding buying these, but maybe you should be the ones considering grading these. Now, this is that Celebrations Mew. These are some of the most recent sales on eBay. $900, $760, $900, and $950 for PSA 10s. Now, keep in mind that this is actually a fairly low pop card, but this the fact that people are paying these prices, it's absolutely insane. Don't be paying these prices for these cards, but it's a pop 173, and this is how many have been graded, 2300. Also, just in case you're wondering, eBay now is showing pop reports for PSA cards, so that is kind of cool. If you're looking on eBay, you can actually see the pop reports there. So I do think that is a cool feature. Just wanted to point that out. But just for reference, this is a $4 card right now. Back here it was under $1, right? Obviously it's up 444%. But don't be buying these cards at these prices, guys. However, if you want to, so this would be my advice when it comes to these promo cards, or these lower dollar cards that are going for insane value. We're going to talk about a promo card in a second. Is look through your collection. If you have celebrations cards that look clean, maybe consider grading them. That's something I'm doing right now. I'm going back through all my celebrations cards. Anything that looks clean, like definitely 10 candidates, I'm definitely going to be grading. We're also slowly creeping up on that 30th anniversary. Celebrations has already been going crazy. So just keep in mind that if you want to make a little bit of extra money, really be looking at your celebrations cards, because apparently even this card, this Mew card, can get you big bucks in a 10. Now, also, there's probably a ton of these at PSA right now after those sales started happening. So just keep in mind that value could come down significantly. So PSA 10s pricing could come down, but obviously this card's been shot up heavily recently, being under $1 now. To this price. So massive gains on this card, 1600% over the past year. So 25-cent card a year ago. So just keep that in mind. A 25-cent card that just sold for like $800. So that is what you should be avoiding purchasing. But like I said, maybe if the grading, there is the opportunity there. And then, here's another example. This is the Victini promo that just recently came out. It's a nice looking promo. I like this card. Don't get me wrong. But where I go is, like, I would never be paying these PSA 10 prices for these cards personally. And right now, this card has been going up pretty big. It's up 137% in the past month. And we're currently seeing it continue to climb right now in the $18 and then kind of up to around 20. So we'll see how high this Victini can actually go. It is a really nice looking promo. But the PSA 10 prices, once again, have been really high. You can see this is the last sold as of yesterday. $860. This one ran on bids for this card in a 10. Now, if we pull up this sold listing right here, we can see the pop report. There's not that many have even been graded, albeit, it looks like it is a little bit tougher to grade, which would make sense. The illustration rare styles all are for the most part. But paying this price this early, there's going to be more of these available, right? And there's going to be there's only 29 copies currently graded. 91 copies graded, but 29 10s. So the fact that people are paying these absurd big prices out the gate, it's like, for this card, just give it a little bit more time. But there's so much happening when it comes to PSA 10 FOMO right now. And it's happening across the board. It's not just specific to these promos. Obviously, if you're familiar with the channel, we've talked a lot about the recent price movements for chase cards, for your promos, especially your stamped Pokemon Center stamped cards. Those have been going insane. So it's just kind of something that's happening overall right now. So this is a time where you want to avoid paying on these like types of cards like this, like promos with low pops that haven't had that many be graded, and then that Mew from Celebrations. You want to be on the selling end of these types of cards. And just for me, I could think of many ways I would much rather spend $860 or $800 on that Mew personally. So that's just my take, is just avoid doing stuff like this. If you want to be the seller, there's definitely some money to be made here apparently. But, you know, by the time you get your cards back from PSA, prices may have dropped significantly, or maybe they'll still be up. You know, I don't know for certain, but I would expect that they would at least have dropped a certain amount. So that's the avoid or do, however you want to interpret it, section of the video. And then before we go any further, I did want to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Shiny. And if you're into Pokemon cards like me, like obviously if you're watching this video, you need to be tracking your collection on Shiny. It's the best way. You can just open the app, take a picture, upload all your cards, your sealed product. Like if you have booster boxes like me, ETBs, any sort of thing, it's going to keep track in real time. You're going to have the most accurate prices so you can know exactly how much your collection's worth. And right now it's more important than ever to know what your collection's worth, just with how much the market has been moving every single day. So you could log on the next day and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that went up. And Shiny is the best way to know that. And that's what I use. And that's what I would recommend. You don't have to take my word for it, because they have 4.9 out of 5-star reviews. It's available on, you know, your Android and iOS devices. So make sure you check out Shiny for all of your collecting needs. They have a lot of great other features as well. It's free to use. So check it out. Check out Shiny. I'll have a link in the description. And then let's get back to the video real quickly. I did want to talk about the Greninja. This is one of those cards that had been declining. And now we're seeing it kind of catch up with some of those other chase cards. We're seeing a similar supply and demand issue right here. Only 24 copies currently listed on TCG Player, and 21, almost 22% growth just in the past month alone. If you zoom out right here, you can see it was declining. You know, it's down almost 12% on the 6-month chart. And you can see the previous all-time high on this card was in February, around $410. Now, currently, we're really not that far away from this. This chart needs to update. The most recent sale is actually at $385. And that's where you're seeing the lowest listed. You have one, as of this recording, at $385. And then it goes up into the 400s, 420, 440, and then you're closer to 500. So it definitely looks like we should be seeing this Greninja surpass this previous all-time high in the near future, at least if these sales continue. You have 68 of these cards being sold in the past month with only 24 available. So they're going to sell. Even if they slow down a little bit more, we're going to see this Greninja break past that previous all-time high. So a bounce back for the Greninja. Nice to see. This was one of those cards, the first card really of the Scarlet and Violet era, that proved that we can have, you know, expensive chase cards, $200, $300 at the time. It was the only one, and it was leading the way. So Greninja, and obviously extremely popular Pokemon. We just got some news about it for the Mega Z to A game, and then obviously it's getting its own Mega set, so that's kind of a big deal moving forward. And then PSA 10 prices for this card have been going up as well. Here you can see the last solds: $935, $910, $925, and $934. And just for fun, we will check out the population. Now, there's a lot of these cards graded. 15,492 currently graded, with 7,610s. So that currently is what you can expect. It's about a 50% gem rate on the Greninja. So definitely a little bit easier to grade than some of the other cards that we've seen come up. So that's kind of what you could expect. If you got a well-centered card that looks no lightning, you got about a 50-50 shot to grade yourself. So that's what we're seeing for the Greninja. And then we are starting to see a little bit more of a bounce on the Pikachu from Surging Sparks. This card's up about 8, almost 9% in the past month. You can see a huge uptick in sales right here. This was 2 days ago. You can see 16 copies being sold then. Now, we still need a little bit more time as far as sales to happen if we want this to get back to like kind of where the Greninja's at, where we need the supply to be lower, probably for this card to continue to run. But we're at 280 right now, which if we zoom out, you will see the previous all-time high on this card was in the about $500, 4 to 500, upper fours, lower $500 range is what we were seeing. And, you know, this one's been on a free fall, you know, down 35% the past 6 months. It's come down and down and down. It looks like we hit its bottom, and now it is, like I said, on the uptick. Currently, lowest listeds right now are 280. So a tinge below the current market price. So this will be an interesting one to keep an eye on if it can break out. It seems like it probably will. It's just like people have been going, it seems like it goes from one chase card to the next, to the next, to the next. And this might be one of those ones that's looking to break out potentially. So just keep an eye on it. If this supply starts to get lower and lower, that's when you're going to really start to see it move. So keep an eye on that Pikachu. PSA 10s have been very expensive. They haven't really, PSA 10s, they've just been expensive in general of everything, right? But here are some of the last solds getting really close to that $1,000 mark. $997, $980, $965. And then actually yesterday we did see, check out these sales, $1,100 and $1,000 in a PSA 10. So that's what you can kind of expect currently. The pop report is a little bit more difficult to grade than the Greninja. 17,900 graded with only 6,180 tens. So you guys can do the math on that and see it's a little bit more difficult to grade. And obviously tons of copies being graded. But when you start to think about how many collectors there are out there that would probably want a card like this in a 10, definitely more than 6,000. So just keep in mind that these cards are moving up, and we're starting to see, it's interesting, when you start to see these cards because they had been declining for so long, when you start to see these cards bouncing, and then, like I said, the Greninja start to get scarce. If we see the Pikachu start to get scarce, that's going to be a very interesting time, because there's not going to be a lot of chase cards that are available. And then after that, I don't know if people are going to start moving to some of the other less valuable chase cards and start kind of gobbling those up as well. So we could see, some stuff from like Temporal Forces, maybe some Paradox Rift, those other like lesser valued chase cards, they could be starting to make an appearance as far as price movement as well. So just keep an eye out for that. Definitely a possibility in the near future. And then before we get to the pickup play that I wanted to mention, we do have just a little bit of news. Nothing too crazy, but we have some stamped promos from Mega that are coming out. You have the Yveltal GameStop and then the Xerneas Mega Evolution. I believe the Xerneas is going to be available at Best Buy, and you have to spend $15 or more on products to receive them, either on store or in line. So just some little stamped promos that I just wanted to make you guys aware of. Nothing too crazy, but just worth noting there. It was kind of in the news cycle. I didn't want to forget about it and not mention it. So keep an eye out for those in the near future. And it looks like for international, they will be available at Toys R Us in Canada, JB Hi-Fi in Australia and New Zealand, and the Yveltal will be at EB Games in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand with that store's logo, so it'll be EB Games rather than GameStop. So just keep that in mind for those. And then yesterday, we talked about this box, Paldea Evolved. These booster boxes are about to be $500. They're about to probably pass 500. We've seen just incredible numbers on this box. And something that I just kind of stumbled across, this is about to be a $500 box. Most recent lowest listeds right now are at $485, listed medians at $530. They're going to surpass 500. But this is currently what we're seeing. On eBay, I did notice that they have the half booster boxes, which isn't really something that we see here in the States. Apparently it's more of like a UK thing. You can see all of these listings are actually shipping from the UK. But I just wanted to point this out to anybody who was interested in picking up some Paldea. Obviously, a complete booster box will be better, right? But if maybe a decent little play, if you're thinking about wanting to get some Paldea, you could get these, even with this shipping, you're at $150. Roughly, so which is a half booster box at $150 when the booster boxes are at $480, about to be $500. So there is some value to be had here. So just wanted to make that play known. Like I said, I don't know how well these half booster boxes would sell here in the US long term. You don't really see them pop up that much. I do think that they're cool though. I like the half booster box. I don't know how they fare as far as hit rates go, stuff like that. I've never opened a half booster box, but it's an interesting idea. So I just wanted to let that be known that there are a few affordable listings still on eBay. I don't know if they'll be gone, how quickly they'll move. There's not a ton out there currently. And then they get up into kind of looks like the $160 mark. And then when you have like $28 shipping at $162, then you're in like $190 per half booster box, and then that kind of stops making sense as much as the value. So there are a few listings, and if anyone picks them up, congratulations. Hopefully you're happy with those pickups. There is some value to be had there. And I picked some up just because also I kind of just wanted to have half booster box. I thought that was kind of cool because I don't have any of those in my collection currently. It's not really, like I said, it's not really a US thing. And any viewers from like the UK or any other regions where they have like those half booster boxes standard, let me know in the comments, like, how are those perceived? Are they kind of perceived as like this lesser product, or is it literally valued at half? Like, is it just valued? Because I mean, that's where it would make the most sense. But we all know that, pull rates and all of that can dictate, like, well, yeah, half ones you can kind of get screwed on. So people like the big booster boxes more, and that would make sense. That's just something, a little bit of an aspect that I'm not fully informed on as far as that goes. So it'd just be interesting for me to learn just a little bit of information on that as well, and then hopefully educate you guys on that. So that's all I have for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.